Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Chapter 106.
So let's set the stage. Gongsun Yuan. Who was he?
Right. He basically inherited this position in Liaodong way out on the periphery, took over from his uncle. It was sort of a semi-independent kingdom already.
And initially he played the game pretty well, didn't he? He got in good with the Wei Emperor, Cao Rui.
Oh, definitely. He was stuck between Wei, Wu in the south, and maybe even threats from the north. He seemed to pick his sides smartly at first.
Sun Quan, the ruler of Wu, tried to get him on side. Sent envoys, Zhang Mi and Xu Yan, offered him the title King of Yan. Big deal.
But Yuan, he turns around, executes both envoys, and sends their heads straight to Cao Rui like a loyalty pledge.
A pretty gruesome pledge, but effective. Cao Rui rewarded him. Grand Marshal, Duke of Leilong. Big titles.
Looked like he'd made the right call. But while the sources are pretty clear, this wasn't enough for him. That ambition started bubbling up.
Always does, doesn't it? After getting Wei's backing, his arrogance really grew, and eventually he does exactly what Sun Quan wanted him to do anyway.
He rebels against Wei, declares himself King of Yan, starts his own era name, Shao Han, just throws it all away.
And the moment he does that, well, maybe it's the universe, maybe just his advisors getting very nervous, but the warning signs started immediately. Big ones.
This is where it gets really strange, and honestly, critical for understanding Yuan's downfall. His vice general, Jia Fan, basically warned him point blank.
Yeah, Jia Fan said something like, look, even the great Zhu Zhiliang couldn't get the better of Sima Yi. Are you sure you want to pick this fight? Solid advice.
You'd think Yuan would listen, but nope. This advice basically put Jia Fan on death row.
And then another advisor, Council Lunzi, steps up. He doesn't just talk military tactics. He brings in omens. Prophecy.
Yeah.
3 really bizarre, frankly terrifying things seen in the capital, Changping.
Okay, let's list these because they are wild. First, a dog wearing a hat and red clothes walking on a roof like a person.
Weird. Definitely weird. Sign number 1.
Sign number 2, a steamed child found inside a communal rice steamer.
This is awful. Horrifying. Okay, that's beyond weird. That's deeply disturbing. You'd think that alone.
But the third one, this is the clincher. A huge, formless, limbless chunk of flesh, apparently several feet across, just emerged from a sinkhole in the market.
A blob. A literal blob of doom.
Exactly. Lunji said the diviners interpreted this thing as a sign of absolute national collapse. Couldn't be clearer, right?
You'd think. A roof-walking dog, a steamed child, a giant flesh blob. If that's not a maybe reconsider your rebellion sign, I don't know what is.
And Yuan's response
Executes them both. Jia Fan and Linji on the spot.
And that decision right there, it seals it. Forget the omens for a second. He silenced his top military and spiritual council right before launching this incredibly risky war. It's pure hubris.
Fatal flaw. Plain and simple. He wouldn't listen.
So Yuan ignores everything, digs in his heels. Meanwhile, word gets back to Wei. Sima Yi gets the job. Emperor Cao Rui is understandably a bit worried. Liaodong is far away, it's fortified.
But Sima Yi, he seems almost unnervingly confident. He asks for only 40,000 troops, which, for taking down a whole kingdom, sounds low.
It does, but he wasn't just confident, he was thinking about time. He had this incredible calculation.
The time equation that's legendary.
Right. He tells the emperor, basically, okay, it's 4,000 lane, that's 100 days to get there, 100 days to fight, 100 days to get back, plus 60 days for rest.
A full year. 360 days planned out. It's amazing foresight. It meant Wei didn't have to worry too much about other fronts, like attacks from Shu or Wu. Sima Yi had Liaodong scheduled.
So Sima Yi gets his troops, marches out. When he finally arrives in Liaodong, Gongsun Yuan's generals, Bai Yan and Yang Zhu, are waiting. They've got a huge force, maybe 80,000 men.
And they're dug in at a place called Liaosui. Trenches, barricades, the works. They're basically daring Sima Yi to attack them head-on, waste his men.
The obvious move. But Sima Yi, he does something completely different, counterintuitive.
He just ignores them, completely bypasses Liaosui.
His thinking was, well, if all those troops are tied up here...
Then the capital, Changping, Yuan's actual base. It must be relatively undefended, vulnerable.
Exactly. So he takes a different route, smaller roads, marches straight for Changping.
And just like he figured, Bai Yan and Yang Zhu totally panic. They see Sima Yi heading for the capital.
Uh-oh, gotta save the boss.
Right. So they abandon their super strong fortifications at Liaosui and race back toward Changping.
Played right into Sima Yi's hands.
Perfectly. As the Yan army is crossing the Liao River, rushing back. Boom! Ambush. Sima Yi had forces waiting, led by Xiaoba and Qiao Wei.
And it was quick.
Very quick. Very brutal. Bayan, the guy who built those now useless defenses, cut down by Xiaoba in the fighting. The Yan army scatters,
And Gongsun Yuan.
forced back into Shangping. Now he's the one trapped. The siege begins.
Okay, so now we get to the siege itself. This is where Sima Yi's particular brand of genius really shines. Patience. But first, things get rough.
Oh, yeah. The weather turns awful. Non-stop autumn rain. For a whole month, the Wei camp becomes a swamp. Sources say the water was like 3 feet deep in places. Mud everywhere. Miserable conditions.
You'd expect morale to plummet. Soldiers are practically drowning in their tents.
And some officers did speak up. Beijing and Qulian.
Yeah.
They suggested the obvious, sensible thing. Move the camp. Go to higher ground. Get out of the mud.
Logical move. Saves the troops. Keeps them healthier for the fight.
Sima Yi's response.
He executes them. Instantly. Puts their heads on display.
Whoa. Okay, that seems extreme. Killing your own officers for suggesting something reasonable. That's a huge risk for morale, isn't it?
It seems like it, but I think, well, Sima Yi saw it differently.
How so?
It was about the plan, the time equation. He couldn't afford delays, couldn't afford any deviation, even sensible ones. Suffering was part of the schedule.
So executing them wasn't just punishment, it was a message. Stick to the plan no matter what. No impatience allowed. Absolute discipline even in misery.
Exactly. He needed total compliance because the suffering, the waiting, that was the weapon he was using.
Which makes his next move even more bizarre on the surface.
Right. After demanding this iron discipline, this acceptance of misery, he then lets the people inside Shangping come out.
Lets them leave the city. During a siege.
Yeah, lets the civilians come out to gather firewood, graze their cattle, doesn't stop them, doesn't attack them, just lets them forage.
Okay, that seems completely counterproductive. Why help the besieged enemy feed themselves or stay warm? Isn't the whole point of a siege to starve them out?
It seems like a contradiction, but this is where you see Sima Yi's strategic mind working on a different level. It's not about simple tactics, it's about the bigger picture. We need to compare it to an earlier campaign.
You mean the Meng Da siege at Shenyang?
Exactly. The Shenyang precedent, what was the situation there?
Okay, Shenyang. Sima Yi was the one short on supplies. Meng Da, inside the city, had plenty of food, so Sima Yi couldn't afford a long siege.
Right. His strategy had to be speed, that famous 8-day forced march. Attack fast before Meng Da could really prepare or get reinforcements. Speed was the key.
But here, in Liaodong, it's the complete opposite.
Totally inverted. Sima Yi has the strong supply line, food and resources coming up the river from Luoyang, despite some advisors back home saying it was too risky.
And Gongsun Yuan, trapped inside Shangping. He has a lot of mouths to feed, but his supplies are finite. They will run out eventually.
So Sima Yi thinks, why waste my soldiers' lives trying to storm strong walls? The city will fall. The question is when and at what cost.
Okay, I see where this is going. Letting the civilians out to forage? It wasn't mercy.
Not at all. It actually accelerated the starvation of the soldiers inside the city.
How?
Because those civilians were consuming resources, firewood, grazing land that the trapped army desperately needed for itself. By letting them forage freely, Sima Yi ensured the city's limited internal resources were depleted even faster.
Clever. He's forcing Yuan to share his dwindling supplies with the non-combatants, making the soldiers run out of food sooner.
Precisely. It wasn't about saving the civilians. It was about controlling resource depletion, weaponizing their hunger against them.
And his thinking, apparently, was that they'd be easier to catch when they finally broke and tried to flee, starving and desperate, than fighting them cornered behind walls.
Patience, logistics, psychology, just letting time and hunger do the work. Ice cold.
Truly calculated. Okay, so the siege drags on, the rain finally stops, and then Sima Yi does something. Unexpected again, he looks up.
He does. He observes the night sky and sees this huge bright star described as being the size of a dipper fall from a nearby mountain, Shushan, landing southeast of Xingping.
And he doesn't just note it down, he makes a proclamation.
A terrifyingly specific one. He announces to his entire army Gongsun Yuan will be captured and executed at that exact spot where the star fell in 5 days.
Wow. Talk about confidence. Or maybe just knowing his plan was reaching its endgame.
Could be both. Meanwhile, inside Shangping, things are desperate, just as Sima Yi planned. Food's gone. They're eating their own oxen and horses. Yuan knows it's over. He tries to negotiate. Twice.
Attempt number 1. He sends out envoys, Wang Jin and Lu Fu. their demand.
Get this. They demand Sima Yi pull his entire army back 20 miles first, just as a condition for surrender talks.
While they're starving. That's
It's
all.
not just plain stupid. Sima Yi's reaction.
Executes them immediately. Calls their demand unreasonable. Basically tells them they're in no position to ask for anything. Message sent.
Swift and brutal. Okay, attempt number 2. Yuan tries again. Sends a different envoy, Wei Yan. This time, he offers his own son, Gongsun as a hostage.
A bit more realistic, maybe. Offering his heir.
Still not good enough for Sima Yi. He rejects it flat out. He basically lectures the envoy on the 5 options in war. You can fight, you can defend, you can flee, you can surrender, or you can die.
And since fighting, defending, and fleeing weren't really options anymore.
Exactly. Sima Yi asks, why would I need a hostage when your only real choice left is surrender or death? He's saying the time for deals is over, just surrender now.
No room left to maneuver. Yuan must have known he was finished.
He did. He decides to make a run for it. Him and his son, Gongsun try to sneak out the south gate at night.
But Sima Yi was expecting that too, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah. Ambush waiting. Sima Yi himself, his son Sima Shi, and Sima Zhao, all the generals, they surround them instantly. No escape.
And then, the prophecy.
The chilling part. Sima Yi orders Gongsun Yuan and Gongsun Shu taken to that exact spot southeast of the city where the star was seen falling.
And executes them right there.
Right there. Fulfilling his own prediction down to the location, and presumably within that 5-day window, Commander becomes prophet, or maybe just ensures the prophecy comes true.
It's a powerful image. Afterwards, Sima Yi enters Shangping, takes control.
He's ruthless in the aftermath, too. Executes Yuan's family, about 70 officials deemed co-conspirators. Cleans house thoroughly.
But then he does something interesting. A final touch.
Right. Remember Jiafan and Linzi, the advisors Yuan executed for warning him.
The ones with the military advice and the blob prophecy.
Those guys. Sima Yi specifically seeks out their graves, honors them, and even ensures their children are looked after.
So even after wiping out the regime, he makes a point of rewarding the people who gave good critical advice, even when it wasn't taken. Emperor Cao Rui is severely ill, and there's this backstory of a ghostly omen.
Oh, yeah.
The spirit of Empress Mao, who he had executed, apparently appeared demanding vengeance. So, against that backdrop of sickness and maybe damnation, the kingdom's future is on the line.
And he's got this young heir, Cao Fang, only 8 years old. So he needs a regency plan. What was the initial thought?
Well, initially it was quite sensible. He called in Lu Fang and Sun Zi, his sort of privy council guys.
Okay.
And the plan was to appoint his cousin, Yan Wang Ao Yu, as Grand General. Cao Yu was known to be gentle, humble, respected.
Sounds stable, but palace politics intervene.
Instantly, yes. See, Lu Fang and Sun Zi, they owed favors to Cao Shuang's family, specifically his father, Cao Zhen.
Ah, the rival general Sima Yi had faced before.
Exactly. So they pushed hard for Cao Shuang instead. And crucially, they persuaded the dying emperor to send Cao Yu away from the capital immediately.
Wow, cut him off at the knees, prevent any challenge.
Pretty much. So the gentle cousin is out, Cao Shuang is in, and then comes this incredibly theatrical moment. Cao Rui summons both Cao Shuang and Sima Yi.
To the bedside.
Yeah.
Together.
And this is where Cao Rui really tries to bind Sima Yi. He grabs his hand, looks him in the eye, and basically says, I'm trusting my son to you, just like Liu Bei trusted Liu Shan to Zhu Jinliang.
Whoa. Comparing him to Zhu Jinliang, that's massive.
It's everything. It's a public declaration equating Sima Yi with the ultimate loyal sage in front of Cao Shuang, the son of his old rival.
And didn't the young emperor do something too?
He did. The little boy, Cao Fang, apparently throws his arms around Sima Yi's neck. It's all very emotional. Cao Rui demands Sima Yi and the old vassals protect the boy, and then he dies.
Heavy stuff, full of obligation.
And strategically vital for Sima Yi. He walks away from that deathbed wrapped in a cloak of mandated loyalty. He's the designated Zhu Jinliang of Wei.
So he has the moral high ground.
Completely. While Cao Shuang has the actual levers of power, for now.
Which brings us to Section 2. Cao Shuang's rise and spectacular fall into decadence.
Right. And initially, things seemed okay. Cao Shuang actually treated Sima Yi with respect, consulted him, followed the emperor's wishes.
But how long did that last?
Not long at all. Weeks, maybe. The influence of his advisor, He Yan, was key.
He Yan, one of the floaters.
That's him. He Yan basically whispered in Shuang's ear, reminding him that Sima Yi's strategies had repeatedly frustrated his father, Cao Zhen, possibly even contributing to his death. The message was stark. Don't share power. Take it all.
And Cao Shuang listened.
Oh, absolutely. He acted fast. Sima Yi gets promoted to Grand Tutor, or Taifu.
Sounds impressive.
It's the highest honorary title. But crucially, it stripped him of all military command. It was like giving the best general in the land a gold watch and telling him to enjoy retirement.
A gilded cage.
Exactly. And into that power vacuum steps Cao Shuang's family. His 3 brothers get the top military jobs controlling the imperial guards.
Cao Ji, Kasun, Cao Yan.
That's them. They command 3,000 guards, have total access to the palace. Cao Shuang must have felt completely untouchable.
But then comes the excess.
This is where he really starts to undermine himself. He and his clique, these 5 floaters, He Yan, Ding Yang, Li Shang, Bing Mi, Big Yi, they get top jobs and start living large, very large.
How bad was it?
Sources say Shuang's lifestyle started mimicking the emperor's. Clothing, utensils, taking the best tribute items for himself before they even reached the palace.
Oof. Bad optics.
Worse than optics. He filled his house with concubines, including, and this is critical, 7 or 8 former imperial concubines.
From the previous emperor.
Procured by a eunuch. Zang, dang, yes. Plus, he's building these huge elaborate towers and pavilions using hundreds of artisans. Pure extravagance.
And Sima Yi's reaction to all this flaunting.
This is the genius part. He does nothing publicly. He just pleads illness, says he's too sick to serve, retires completely. His sons follow suit.
He just vanishes from public life.
Becomes invisible. He lets Cao Shuang dig his own grave. Every extravagant act, especially taking those concubines, wasn't just waste, it was a public display of disrespect.
Yeah.
It chipped away at Shuang's legitimacy.
So Sima Yi wasn't just waiting for an opportunity. He was waiting for Cao Shuang to provide the justification for removing him.
Precisely. Moving against a frugal, loyal regent. That makes Sima Yi a usurper. Moving against a decadent guy who steals the emperor's tribute and concubines. Now, Sima Yi looks like the restorer of order and decency.
Clever. Okay, section 3. But surely people were warning Cao Shuang, besides Sima Yi just watching.
Oh, yes. The warnings were coming thick and fast, apparently. Both practical and even supernatural, according to the sources.
Let's hear the supernatural one first. Sounds juicy.
Right. So Heian, maybe feeling a bit uneasy despite the power, consults this famous diviner, Guan Lu.
Guan Lu, the fortune teller.
A very respected one. Heian asks if he'll reach the highest ranks, the 3 dukes. And he mentions this recurring dream he's been having.
Which was?
Dozens of blue flies gathering on his nose. Oddly specific.
Flies on the nose. What did Guan Lu make of that?
Guan Lu didn't hold back. He told Heian straight, "You're powerful, yes, but way more people fear you than love you. The nose," he says, "is like a mountain that should be high and stable.
Okay.
But flies," Guan Lu calls them blue, stinky, vile things gathering there. That means your high position is unstable. It's going to lead to a fall.
A pretty direct warning. What was the advice?
Diminish the much, increase the little, follow no path that is not propriety. Basically, cut back on the excess, be humble, follow the rules, or you're doomed.
And did Heian and the clique listen?
What do you think? Ding Yang just scoffed, called it old man's talk, total dismissal.
Unbelievable arrogance.
Guan Lu was apparently so sure they were done for, he later told his uncle he'd just been speaking with dead men. He saw their fates sealed. Described Ding Yang's walk as unstable, Heian's complexion pale, like ghosts.
Chilling.
Yeah.
But they also got practical warnings, right? Not just prophecies.
Absolutely. Cao Shuang's own brother, Cao Shi, the one commanding the Central Guard, explicitly warned him. Said his authority was getting too great, people resented it, and crucially, don't take the whole ruling faction outside the city walls on trips.
Seems like sound advice.
And Wan Fan, the Minister of Agriculture, a capable guy apparently, also tried to talk him out of leaving the capital.
So why ignore everyone? Family, ministers, even mystics.
Hubris. Pure, unadulterated hubris.
Yeah.
They controlled the guards inside the city. They'd sidelined Sima Yi, who they now saw as this frail, dying old man. They couldn't conceive of a threat. They felt invincible.
Which leads us perfectly into section 4, the big deception. Sima Yi's illness.
Right. So Cao Shuang decides to double-check that Sima Yi really is harmless. He promotes one of his guys, Li Shang, to be governor of Jingzhou. And before Li Shang leaves, Cao Shuang tells him, "Go pay your respects to the Grand Tutor Sima Yi. See how he's really doing?" It was a test.
And Sima Yi knew it was coming.
He must have. Because the performance he put on was, well, it was Oscar-worthy. Li Shang arrives and finds Sima Yi looking like death warmed over. Hair down, no cap, slumped in bed, needing 2 maids just to hold him up.
Just looking the part wasn't enough, though.
Oh no, it was the details. He pretends to be almost completely deaf. Li Shang says he's off to Jingzhou, and Sima Yi mumbles something about Bingzhou.
Different province entirely.
Right. Li Shang corrects him. Sima Yi sort of laughs weakly. Oh, Jingzhou, you came from Bingzhou too, didn't you? Just total confusion. Li Shang has to start writing things down.
And Sima Yi struggles with that too.
Plays it perfectly. Squints at the note, gestures to his mouth, indicating he can't hear. Then comes the master stroke. The soup.
The soup.
They bring him soup. He tries to drink it, but his hands shake so badly he spills it all down his chest, choking and sputtering. Utter physical decay.
Wow. Selling it hard.
And the final touch. He supposedly uses his last ounce of strength, maybe even with a tear in his eye, to beg Li Shang. Asks him to please look after his unworthy sons when Li Shang sees the Grand General Cao Shuang. Basically saying, I'm done for, take care of my boys.
So Li Shang buys it completely.
Hook, line, and sinker. He goes back to Cao Shuang and reports that Sima Yi is practically dead already. Can't even manage his own body, let alone a coup. The source says Cao Shuang was greatly delighted. The last obstacle he thought was gone.
The perfect piece of misinformation delivered by one of his own guys. Sima Yi confirms he's no threat.
Exactly. For Cao Shuang, the time for caution is officially over, which means for Sima Yi.
The time to strike has arrived. Section 5, Gaoping Tomb.
The moment Sima Yi has been waiting for. It comes in the first month of the Jiaoping era. Cao Shuang plans this big official outing.
Right, the trip to Gaoping Tomb to pay respects.
Yep. And despite those warnings from his brother Cao Shi and the minister Huan Fan,
He ignores them.
completely ignores them. Shouts them down, actually. Who dares cause trouble? Don't speak nonsense again. He was that confident.
So he takes the young emperor, Cao Fang, his own brothers, He Yan, all the floaters. The entire leadership structure leaves the capital city.
All of them. Off they go for the ceremonies at the tomb. It was the single greatest strategic mistake he could have made.
Because the second they were outside the walls?
The second Sima Yi confirms they were clear of the city, the dying man rises. Instantly. The transformation is total.
No more sickness.
Gone. He summons his sons, calls up his old, loyal military subordinates, the ones who respected him, not Cao Shuang, and arms his household retainers. Dozens of them.
Gets on his horse.
Mounts his horse, ready to go, no hesitation. While Cao Shuang and his clique are miles away, literally focused on the dead, Sima Yi moves on the living capital.
Seizes the city.
Seizes the palace, takes control of the armories, the key gates, blocks Cao Shuang's return. It was swift, decisive, and utterly irreversible. Cao Shuang was caught completely flat-footed, realizing the frail old man had played him perfectly.
A stunning coup.